Black and Gold fans, welcome back to the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. This is my instant reaction to Iowa's 27-10 win at Rutgers in Piscataway from Saturday night. My apologies, I did film this episode yesterday on Sunday, but due to some technical issues, I was unable to download it, so here I am shooting it here on Monday evening, so my apologies. No disrespect, I'm sorry I didn't get it out before now, but yeah, just got a few things to unpack from the Big Ten opener. First and foremost, it was a victory, and I want to open up with a couple of statements here before I break down the game, and starting with, please like, share, subscribe, click that subscribe button. Let's get the word out there. This is a channel that celebrates and honors all things college football, but with an emphasis on the black and gold squads of Missouri and the Iowa Hawkeyes. So we're 1-0. At this point, Iowa fans were 3-1, 1-0 in conference play. That's exactly, by the way, where I predicted Iowa would be. Preseason, I did pick them to lose the Cyhawk game to Iowa State, which they did. But watching this game, and I didn't watch it real time. I went camping this weekend with my son. Definitely need a little bit of a getaway time with my son Connor. So watching it on Sunday, hands down, I mean, this was the most complete game we've seen from Iowa in all three facets: offense, defense, and special teams. That being said, it is against Rutgers, who is a little bit still outmanned, understaffed, but still, they are getting better. But it was great to see Iowa really kind of bring everything together, folks. That's really what we wanted to see. And that was really the first step in this, other than, of course, the main goal and main step was getting a victory, which they did. But following the Nevada game, 27-0 in week 3, we all wanted to see some continued progress, especially from the offense, and we did see that during Saturday's game. Maybe not an improvement by leaps and bounds, but there was some small little bit of progression from the offense. So hands down, it was a really good effort in all areas, and I'll further break that down here in a little bit. And one thing I'm going to say is, moving forward, here we are now getting into the nitty-gritty conference play that I'm just going to say this right now. I mean, even though our Hawks really are struggling, they've looked better the last couple weeks, especially on the offensive side of the ball. But the Big Ten West, folks, let's just be honest, it's really wide open. It is the wild, wild West. Other than Minnesota, who went into East Lansing on Saturday and absolutely rolled Sparty in Spartan Stadium. They made a huge statement, did the Golden Gophers. They hands down are the best team in the West. It really is Minnesota and then everybody else, which isn't a surprise to some of us. It's not a surprise to me, because I did pick Minnesota preseason to win the Big Ten West. So, it's not a big shocker to me. But you really have Minnesota and then everybody else. I mean, can Minnesota lose a game or two? Absolutely. But really, you have Minnesota, and then the next tier would be, I think, Wisconsin, Iowa, and even Illinois. I think those are the three next best teams. I mean, based on what I've seen, based on records, even though Wisconsin got absolutely throttled Saturday night in Columbus against Ohio State, giving up a 52-burger, which is not what we're used to seeing from Wisconsin. Illinois looks much better under second-year coach Brett Bielema. Purdue, I think, is in the next tier by themselves because, quite frankly, I mean, I don't even know if they want to win games. They don't really know how to win games. They absolutely have given away 2 games. At home against Penn State, and then in week 3 at Syracuse. 2 letdowns and meltdowns already this year for Purdue. and they barely escaped Saturday against FAU. They won by 2 points at home against the Owls. So I don't really know where Purdue is. I think they're really just a one-trick pony on offense. They don't run the ball, and they don't want to run the ball. And then bringing up the rear, the two worst teams in the Big Ten West absolutely are Northwestern and Nebraska. And I'm going to say Nebraska is the worst team because Northwestern beat them straight up. But this is the Northwestern team that the last 2 weeks has lost back-to-back games. They lost 2 weeks ago at home against SIU, the Salukis. And then they lost Saturday at home against Miami of Ohio, the Redhawks, without Big Ben Roethlisberger, by the way. So the Big Ten West is totally wide open. And just if there's a team that can really put it all together, be consistent, take care of the ball, be solid, fundamentally, I think a team that can do that is going to be able to challenge Minnesota. So there really is a lot of optimism still, and there should be for us Iowa fans, because the Big Ten West, I mean, it's really kind of a crapshoot, other than Minnesota, who hands down is the best team, like I mentioned. They've kind of separated themselves from the rest of the pack, but they're not impervious. There is some kink in that armor. I mean, I do think they will pick up at least one, maybe two losses, hopefully to our Hawkeyes in a meaningful spot. But time will tell. I don't quite know that yet, but I do know I thank and appreciate you for all you've done for the channel. So please feel free, like, share, rate, subscribe, comment. So let's get to the game that unfolded Saturday night there in Piscataway. 27-10, like I said, final score. Our Hawkeyes on the right side of the scoreboard. I always like to start with the good, so let's go ahead and continue that. The good, the offense definitely showed a little bit more signs of life. I mean, absolutely the defense helped them out. But let's start with the offense. The one that's been under the microscope, Spencer Petras, as far as the quarterback play. His numbers, I mean, not bad, average. I mean, he was 11 of 17, which is good for 65% completion percentage, which that's exactly where we want him to be. So 65%, I mean, that's definitely a step in the right direction for Spencer. 148 yards total passing. Definitely need to get closer to 200, I believe. No touchdowns, but really more importantly, 0 interceptions. And actually, Iowa did not turn the ball over at all in this game. So not bad numbers for Spencer. I mean, you know, as far as Spencer Petras numbers, definitely better than what we've seen in the previous 3 games. The Iowa rushing attack today definitely found a little bit more traction. As a team, they ran for 129 yards. LaShawn Williams led the way with 64 yards rushing on 11 attempts with 1 touchdown. Caleb Johnson, who I think has a huge upside in the backfield for Iowa, this true freshman, 15 carries for 58 yards. I mean, he continues to really be very Tyler Goodson-like. I really like what I see out of this youngster. Overall, 38 attempts, 129 yards, as I mentioned, good for 3.4 yards per rush. Not bad. I mean, that's really closer to where we want to be. I think as what this team needs and requires, they want to be at least 4 yards per rush. So they're getting there. I mean, there was progress in that rushing attack tonight. And that's really where I think the biggest improvement was, and the most vital part. I mean, Iowa looked very comfortable tonight on offense. They were never really challenged by the Rutgers defense. I mean, the Rutgers defense did manage to get to Spencer Petras a few times for a couple sacks. But the biggest point of progression that really stood out to me watching the game was the Iowa offensive line. I mean, true, they did give up some sacks. Let's see. I mean, Rutgers, I believe they gave up three sacks on the night for the Rutgers defense. So They were able to rush and get to Spencer Petras, but the Iowa line did a much better job protecting him, giving him better throwing windows, but more importantly, I already mentioned it, it really opened up holes, won the point of attack, and kept the point of attack for the Iowa rushing game. And at times, I mean, there were holes that were like Moses parting the Red Sea. I mean, they were there, and that was great to see, to finally see that happen. So, and I've said this in earlier instant reaction episodes to this season, that as the Iowa offensive line goes, so goes Iowa. So it's great to see that line is continuing to get a little bit better week in and week out. And we're going to need that rushing attack. So overall, the offense itself really just average, which is okay. I mean, Iowa is always going to lean more on their defense and their special teams. We all know that. That's no secret. But all we ask is that the offense just be average. Don't turn the ball over. Score on the opportunities that you get, the better scoring opportunities with good field position. Don't turn it over, and don't put yourselves in a bad situation or spot. That's all you have to do, okay? The one thing I would like to see is Iowa has got to get their wide receivers more involved. Keegan Johnson did not play this week. He did make an appearance last week at home against Nevada. Did not play at all in this game. Hopefully he didn't re-aggravate an injury, because we're going to need him. He is our most dynamic wide receiver. Nico Reganey did play. Arlen Bruce, I believe, was the only wide receiver to catch a pass tonight. Yep, 1 reception for 5 yards. I mean, Spencer did target his wide receivers more often, but I mean, he really, first and foremost, looked to the tight ends tonight. I mean, Sam Laporta and Luke Lachey had big-time performances. Sam Laporta, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun, Laporta. He had 4 receptions. Luke Lachey had 2. I mean, between those guys, that's, 114 yards of the 148 receiving right there between the 2 tight ends. So they need to find a way to get those wide receivers more involved. I mean, and maybe it's really on them too. Maybe they just need to find more separation as well. So it's not all on the Iowa quarterback or line. I mean, it's going to be evenly distributed, but we got to get those wide receivers more in play. We have got to be able to try to stretch the field more vertically. That's the one thing I would say about the offense overall. That was the really only negative thing that I can say really about the offense tonight. I am happy with it, as you should be too, but I would have liked for them to come out and look a little bit more crisper and a little bit more dominant. But as the game went on, the Iowa O-line absolutely just manhandled the Rutgers defensive line. I mean, so that was nice to see, that the Iowa line was absolutely more conditioned. So overall, I'm happy with the offense. Defense, they do what they do. I mean, they forced 3 turnovers Saturday night and basically recorded not 1, but 2 defensive touchdowns, a pick 6 and a scoop 6. The pick 6 was from a just really, really athletic play by Cooper DeJean, who absolutely is turning into an absolute stud playmaker, difference maker for the Iowa defense. Made a very, very athletic over-the-shoulder pick and then returned it. It was a thing of beauty. And Kayvon Merriweather was the benefactor of the fumble for the scoop and score. So if you're keeping track, right there, that means Iowa defense 14, Iowa offense 13. So the defense did outscore the offense again, just like they did in week 1. But still, I mean, the defense just continues to look really good. I mean, Justin Jacobs, the linebacker who missed week 3's game against Nevada, one of their 3 starting linebackers, did see some action tonight. He did start, but he did leave late in the first half and he didn't re-enter, didn't return. So hopefully he didn't re-aggravate something, because we're going to need him, especially in next week's game, which I'll get to here in a little bit. Overall, what do we got? The Iowa defense, 3 sacks. I mean, the defensive line really, really was just in the grill of the Rutgers quarterbacks all night long. I mean, the Iowa defensive line looked the part. I mean, especially Lucas Van Ness. I mean, the guy is just a genetic freak. I mean, he's a game changer. He's the next great Iowa defensive lineman, okay? Jared DeFreeze-like, I'm just telling you. So keep an eye on him. 3 sacks, 5 tackles for loss by the Iowa defense with those 3 turnovers. I mean, it held Rutgers to 10 points. I mean, you can't ask for much more than that. But unfortunately, the yardage they gave up and the points, they fell from the 4th to the 6th overall best defense in the nation. Ugh. That's unfortunate, but still a top 10 defense. What more do you want? The one thing that I would critique about the Iowa defense that I saw in the 4th quarter, I get it. They were dominating the game. I mean, it really wasn't something they had to be too concerned with, even though it was at that point a 3-score affair. But in the 4th quarter, definitely some of the Rutgers wide receivers did get free. There were a couple of blown coverages and plays in the Iowa secondary, and we're not used to seeing that. And a couple of those were converted into long pass plays. A couple were just overthrown, and there was also a couple that the Rutgers quarterbacks just didn't see the open receiver. So I think Phil Parker's definitely got to get on the guys for that. Maybe they just mailed it in for the night or lost their edge, their game face, so to speak. But there were a couple of blown coverages in that 4th quarter. And against a team like Rutgers, when you have that kind of a lead and you're physically dominating them, not really going to cost you. But when you play other teams in the Big Ten, good teams, superior upper level teams like we're playing this upcoming week, those blown coverages can and will cost you points. They will. So I think they definitely need to just maybe tighten that up a little bit near the end of the game and just play until you hear the whistle or the horn, whatever, the gun, whatever analogy you want to use. So that's the only thing I say about the defense. But just like the offensive line, I mean, the defensive line throughout the night just continued to just take over against the Rutgers O-line. I mean, they looked so much more conditioned, better shape, ready to play mentally and physically, and that was great to see. So, great job by the defense as well. The special teams, I mean, you know, what else can I say about the special teams? I mean, besides they're special. Iowa kicking, I think we have something in this true freshman kicker, folks. His name is Drew Stevens. He was 2 for 2 on field goals tonight. A long was 51, which hit off the very top of the crossbar, but did deflect through the upright, so he did make it. But I'm telling you, I mean, he's got a kick that absolutely booms. I mean, that kick would have been good from 60 yards, I think, easily. And 2 for 2, I believe he didn't miss a single field goal last week as well against Nevada in his first ever action in an Iowa uniform. And he was 3 for 3 for extra point attempts. So I think we've got something in this field goal kicker, even though he is young, but still, things are looking very promising for the kicking game moving forward. And every week, I've got to mention, you know, Iowa's MVP up to this point, Torrey Taylor, the punter from down under. His legacy, his Heisman candidacy continues to grow because, hey, punting is winning, and like the shirts say in Iowa City, I cheer for the punter. I mean, what he did tonight, I mean, we've got, 5? He had 5 punts. Actually, no, 6 punts. 6 punts, 0 touchbacks. Of those 6, 4 were inside the 20. And of those 4, 3 were inside the 10. I mean, the guy just continues to be an absolute stud, a difference maker. He's flipping the field. He's the best player overall on the Iowa team, and he is to this point through 4 weeks of football. I mean, and to me, it's not even a close discussion. He hands down has been their best player. I mean, without a doubt. I think he's absolutely going to be an All-American by the way he's performing, and maybe even might take home the Ray Guy Award for best punter in the nation. But yeah, Tory Taylor, just continue whatever it is you're doing lately, just keep doing it. That's all I'm going to say. Okay? So special teams, really good job, both kicking, field goal kicking as well. The other thing I want to say, and let me know what you think about this, guys. This stud running back freshman, Caleb Johnson, who I've already mentioned, I really like him, but he also now has moved into Iowa's kick returner. And, you know, I get it. He's explosive, he's shifty, athletic, quick, but I'm always hesitant to have one of your best weapons returning kicks, because we all know what can happen with those injuries involved with the kicking game. Kick returns, punt returns. I'm always a little bit iffy and weary of that, because I'd hate to have something happen to this cat, this stud, early on. If you have to have him back there, great, let's use him that way, but then maybe don't bring him in or work him into the rotation at the running back, because I just think that potentially is a injury waiting to happen. And the other thing I'm going to mention, I'm sorry, I hate to backtrack here, I'll rewind there. Back to the rush attack. It seems like they really have been using a three-headed monster, has Iowa, kind of splitting the reps between Gavin Williams, LaShawn Williams, and Caleb Johnson. But it seems like I think it's going to have to maybe cut down to a two-horse race. I just like more how LaShawn Williams is running right now. I mean, he hits the holes hard. He runs with authority. Unlike Gavin Williams, who seems to kind of do a little bit more dancing and bouncing around. And last year, Tyler Goodson, I mean, even though great running back that he did tend to dance around a little bit too much, which Gavin Williams, I think, as a I don't want to say a punishment, but as a cause and effect, I think is going to start to see his carries diminish a little bit. LaShawn Williams, like I said, I think he needs to be their featured back. I just love how he's running right now. He gets it, hits the hole hard, accelerates, not afraid of contact. And I like Caleb Johnson coming in as the number 2 running back to kind of give you that thunder and lightning, so to speak, look, where he's going to be your versatile, really quick, shifty, athletic speed guy. So, because Caleb Johnson, I think a lot of people want to see him in the starting role, but we have to remember he's a true freshman. All right, he's getting used to the punishment, the speed, and reps at the college level, to where you overuse a guy like that, you're going to wear him down. You know, it's going to be like, overusing your bullpen. Late in the season of baseball season, they're not going to have anything left. So let's just pump the brakes on Caleb Johnson being the starter. Let's work him in a little bit more. But remember, he's a freshman, and if we get him out there too often, he's going to wear down. He's going to break down. He's going to put the ball on the ground. So everybody who thinks he should be starting, I get it, just not yet. Maybe not this season quite yet, okay? So that's really it as far as talking offense, defense, special teams. This week coming up, we've got a huge challenge. Number 4, Michigan comes to Iowa City. It's the big noon kickoff on Fox. Big noon, which starts at 11 a.m. Central Time. Unfortunately, it's too bad this can't be the night game, because I think that absolutely would benefit Iowa way more. This is a huge spot, big time revenge game for Iowa. I mean, if you recall, last year in the Big Ten title game, Michigan absolutely embarrassed us. And usually, sometimes you have to wait years to get that opportunity again, but here we are early in the following season. Iowa gets their opportunity for a revenge game, but also to make a huge statement. If Iowa finds a way to beat Michigan Saturday afternoon, they'll be ranked, they'll be in the discussion. Now, I don't quite know if that's something they'd be able to maintain the rest of the year if they got themselves into the rankings. I just don't know yet. But they have a huge opportunity with Coach Kaki, Jim Harbaugh, bringing his boys into town. And I'll remind you, Coach Kaki, Mr. Harbaugh, has never, ever tasted victory in Kinnick Stadium as both a coach and a player at Michigan. So hopefully we can keep that up. Hopefully history repeats itself for our Hawkeyes, our beloved black and golds. So yeah, huge game Saturday. I can't wait to watch it. Preseason, I did pick Iowa to find a way to win this game. You'll have to tune in later this week when I have my Week 5 preview and picks episode. I do have the right to change my picks, but I'm just letting you know I did pick Iowa preseason to win this game. But big time opportunity for Iowa to get that big time home win that they seem to get every year, the upset. And this is Michigan's first road game this season, and they were absolutely tested by Maryland Saturday. The Terps gave them everything they could handle and more in the big house. Michigan did win by a touchdown, but this is going to be the first road start to a hostile environment for young Michigan quarterback starter J.J. McCarthy. So I cannot wait to watch this game. It just reminds me of growing up, the matchups I watched with my dad and my brother. You know, Hayden Fry versus Bo Schembechler, and then Fry versus Carr, and then Ferentz versus Carr, and it just goes on, and Ferentz versus Richarod, and now Coach Harbaugh. I love these matchups, just love them. But anyway, that's my episode for today. Thank you for everything you do. I have nothing but love and gratitude for you all. Without you, none of this would be possible. Thank you for being here with me and letting me share my love and passion for our Iowa Hawkeyes and all college football in general. So please subscribe, like, share, comment, get it out there. I mean, the channel is growing thanks to your efforts. Thank you again. And be looking out this week for my Week 4 review and recap episode. And then later in the week, as I mentioned, will be my Week 5 preview and picks episode. So until then, enjoy the rest of your week. Be safe. And thank you for joining me on this episode of the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. See you later. Bye-bye.